Hello and welcome to the Gradcracker webinar with CERN, always a highlight in our webinar calendar. My name is Sophie, I'm a director at Gradcracker and have been with the business for 13 years. I've been working with CERN for the last 8 years and I'm really excited for you all to find out more about the amazing opportunities they offer to STEM students and graduates every year. I'm also joined by my co-director Jessica, who I'm sure many of you will recognise from the previous webinars and the many university presentations she delivers. During today's webinar, our aim is to find out more about CERN, their opportunities and what life is like working there. Starting with our contact Freddie from the Talent Acquisition team, we'll have an introduction to CERN as an organisation and their opportunities. The rest of the panel from CERN will then talk to you about their educational background, their day-to-day roles, and what life is like working at one of the world's largest and most respected centres for scientific research. That's a mouthful. Towards the end of the webinar, we'll discuss the recruitment process and give you some hints and tips on how to be successful in securing a role with CERN, including some of the individual experiences of the students and graduates on the panel. There'll also be a few questions from you, our students, dotted throughout the webinar that you've kindly submitted in advance of today. Okay, so let's get started. Freddie, thank you very much for joining us. Could you start by telling our audience all about CERN?
Yeah, of course. Well, thanks for having us, first of all. So with CERN, we are the European Organization for Nuclear Research, which is basically the world's sort of biggest playground for physicists and engineers who are trying to figure out sort of the questions like how the universe works. So we were founded over 70 years ago in 1954. We're located on the French-Swiss border, so just outside of Geneva. And we're really known sort of mainly for our facilities and for our accomplishments. So looking at facilities, we're the home to the Large Hadron Collider, or the LHC, which is the largest and most powerful particle accelerator. So putting that into words that someone like I can understand, this is where scientists sort of smash tiny particles together near the speed of light to see what they're made of and to uncover sort of secrets of the universe. You might also remember that we discovered the Higgs boson in the LHC, which is also known as the God particle, which was a pretty huge win for CERN. Looking forward to the future, so we're working on sort of always being bigger and better. So at the moment, we're working on an upgrade called the High Lumi upgrade to the LHC, which is aiming to produce even more powerful collisions and give us sort of more insights. Further than that, we're exploring the idea of building the new collider that's even larger called the FCC, or the Future Circular Collider. So yeah, a very bright past and hopefully an even brighter future.
Amazing, absolutely incredible things for students and graduates to be involved in as well at CERN, isn't there? And you know, what an exciting time to join. Talking about the opportunities that you recruit each year and those that are currently advertised on your Gradcracker Company Hub, can you give us a bit of an overview of the types of roles and opportunities available?
Yeah, so I think to give a bit of context on the programs that we offer, I'll break down sort of the three main contract types that we have. So there's obviously student programs, which, as the name suggests, are for people who are studying at university. We have graduate programs for people in their early career. And then we have staff programs, which is for people who are a bit more established in their particular field. For the purpose of today's session, and obviously for the relevance of what's on Gradcracker too, I'll quickly go through some of the student programs and the graduate programs too. So with students, to start with, is the technical student program. So this works very similarly to an internship or a placement year that you might do at university. It can be anywhere from 4 to 14 months. Of course, in the application, the longer that you are able to stay for, typically the better the chances of being selected. If you imagine each team can hire maybe one student, if they can choose to have you for 5 months or a year, they typically want you for a year. In terms of eligibility, it's open to all nationals of member states and associate member states of CERN. We require you to have completed 3 semesters of your undergraduate studies or continuous undergraduate studies by the time that you would join us at CERN. And these can all be found on Gradcracker. We have 6 different domains within this, so feel free to sort of select and apply for multiple different domains if they feel relevant and suitable for you. This one closes for applications on the 23rd of February for the next round of studentships. Next up, we then have the admin student program as well. So very similar in terms of eligibility. It's all the same as a technical studentship, the same with the length of the placement and the way that it would work with your university. The only difference here, as well as the name would suggest, is that it's for admin profiles. So things like legal, finance, HR, even international relations as well. We then have doctoral student programs. So this is for anyone who's thinking about starting a PhD pretty soon or recently started. Again, these are all listed on our Gradcracker site as well.
Mhm.
It's a chance to work on your doctoral thesis at CERN, but you'll also still be enrolled at your home university. Typically, the duration is between 12 and 36 months, so a year to 3 years. Again, it's
Mhm.
open to member states and associate member states, and it's open until the 23rd of February. We next have the summer student program. So this is something that's more focused on the learning piece as well. Of course, the other studentships, we do a lot of learning and development, but this program is really quite a crash course in whatever field you're interested in. So there's a chance to be involved in project work. There are lectures within this, different fun events for the students, visits to our different facilities, and lots of workshops. The duration's a bit shorter, so it's 2 to 3 months.
Mhm.
Has to be through summer, of course, and open to all nationalities, so not just associate member states and member states. This one, it's your last chance to apply, so you've got 4 more days. The 26th of January is when that one
Mhm.
will close. And then moving on to the graduate programs. So these are for people who are in their early career, so having already finished your degree or very close to finishing your degree. So
Yeah.
there's two different programs here. So Origin program, which is also known as Early Career Professionals, confusingly
Mhm.
enough in some places. The duration of these is between anywhere from 6 months to 36 months, but typically it is a 2 year contract with a 1 year extension at the end.
Mhm.
Like I say, it's suitable for anyone who's about to graduate or has just graduated in the last few years. Our eligibility requirement here is 0 to 2 years of experience after your most recent graduation date. So say if you graduated in the summer of this year, but you've maybe worked for 3 years before, you are still eligible for this position as
Yeah.
CERN counts your experience from the date of your highest qualification. Again, this is open to all member states and associate member states, and we publish new positions for this program every few days. Really, it's quite a
Yeah.
popular and common program within our business or organization. Sorry. Then we have the Quest program. So it's a slightly more experienced early career program, and it typically leans a bit more into project work. Where
Mhm.
Origin, you will be sort of a functioning member of the team. With Quest, you typically have an output that's agreed upon at the beginning of your contract. So the eligibility here is a bit different. So if you have a master's degree, we look for you to have 2 to 6 years of working experience after your graduation.
Yeah.
And if you have a PhD, it's 0 to 3 years of experience. So, yeah, so hopefully
Brilliant.
that's a bit of an idea. These are all available on our Gradcracker hub.
Yeah.
Covers most from starting your studies right up to 6 years after you finish them.
Absolutely. And I think that was a really, really great overview, Freddie, of the different types of opportunities and the different levels of qualifications you look for each, which I know when you're looking at all these programs, it can, get a little bit confusing which one's right for you. So that's really, really helpful. And like Freddie mentioned, we are adding these roles to Gradcracker nearly on a daily basis. We get new roles added. So what I would really suggest that you do is follow Gradcracker and follow CERN on Gradcracker to make sure that you're alerted to all the new roles that are going up. You don't want to be missing out on one that could be absolutely perfect for you. So thank you so much for that. So as we've kind of touched on with all the different programs that you offer, CERN recruits hundreds of students and graduates every year, don't you? So tell us about how important that community is to the work that you do at CERN and how this can foster relationships that can last sometimes lifetimes.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I think to start with, it's one of our core pillars at CERN of the mission that we're trying to achieve here. It's education. So having
Mhm.
this huge community of graduates and students is really sort of crucial to achieving that. And I think obviously they can learn a lot from CERN, students and graduates that come here because they'll be working with experts in their field, but also we learn from them too. So students and graduates are given quite a decent amount of responsibility and trust within their team. And I think in doing that, we're able to sort of see new perspectives and new ways of working coming up as a next generation is coming in. So there's a really nice sort of mutual learning happening there.
Mhm.
I think on a more practical level, a large portion of people who are offered the staff contracts, which is for the more established profiles later in your career, a large portion of those are coming from studentships and graduates previously at CERN. So
Yeah.
for us, it's really about that investment in sort of building a pipeline of people who are motivated and love CERN,
Mhm.
and able to really achieve some great things, not just now, but also for the future.
Mm. Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. And it's great for our audience to hear as well how valued they would be when they join you. And I know Emma's going to be able to tell us about that in more detail as we progress through. But I think it's great to kind of bring that to the forefront of the webinar as well. So we touch upon this every year when we run the webinars, but for those members of our audience that perhaps don't know CERN very well or who are new to you, then can you explain the kind of huge range of disciplines that you recruit from each year and the different fields they can work with? Because we know that, it's not just physicists is a message that we always want to get across.
Yeah, I wish it could come with that disclaimer. We're not just physicists. A very small portion of our workforce is physicists. So,
Mhm.
as you can imagine, we have a really wide range of disciplines, and this is because we're trying to achieve so many different things. So,
Yeah.
there's of course the physics as part of the core mission, but there's a lot of civil engineering and mechanical engineering going on within this. So, we hire lots of roles for engineers, as I mentioned, electrical, mechanical, and civil. Pretty much any field of engineering, we're hiring for it. But also within the IT world, I am an IT recruiter by trade, and that's
Yeah.
sort of the most part of my work at CERN is on the IT recruitment. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't shout out the IT department. We hire a lot of software developers, data scientists, IT specialists in really niche fields, including things like digital twins, and I learn a new phrase every week, basically.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't stop there. We hire technicians, so things like vacuum experts, radiation protections, and people with really unique roles like a cryogenics specialist to keep the
Yeah.
magnets cool within the tunnels. So there's really something for pretty much everyone. And then even outside of technical roles, there are firefighters on site, there are legal professionals, communications and social media, and of course, HR, like myself.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm always amazed when I see the jobs being sent through to us for CERN, and I'm like, then you see a name like cryogenics or vacuum specialist, and you're like, I don't know what that is, but it sounds so cool. So, yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Freddie. So, following on from this question, actually, we've got our first student question that was submitted to us, and this is from Durrani from the University of Strathclyde, and they've asked for students with a statistics and data science background, what type of roles are available at CERN? Which technical and analytical skills are most important to be a competitive applicant? And how does CERN support students' learning and long-term career progression? So, kind of threefold, but a really great question.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, now I've just said about the IT thing, I feel pressure to answer this one well. But yeah, so no, as I mentioned, we have a lot of different disciplines that we hire for. So particularly looking back to the technical studentship, we have an application pool there, which is just for IT, maths, and robotics. So
Mhm.
if you're looking at sort of searching through CERN, that would be a good place to start, is what I would suggest. I think it's also important to remember that statistics and data science can be really important in all disciplines and all departments at CERN. So a great example of this is that we have a student in our team, in the recruitment team, and he focuses on analytics and creating hiring dashboards and sort of helping us to
Mm.
streamline our processes. So it's not just for in the tunnels or working on the LHC data, it's the whole way through CERN. There's spaces for these people who have sort of the statistics and data background. In
Mhm.
terms of learning, I think the summer student program is a pretty great place to start. So this obviously offers a really nice educational and training experience. As I mentioned, there are sort of these
Yeah.
seminars and lectures and workshops specifically looking at the statistics and data science. We do have an open lab summer program, summer student program. This is one that's more geared towards that sort of IT,
Yeah.
data science, analytics type of field as well. So hopefully that answers the question reasonably well. But yeah, basically the summer programs are a great place to start your career off, but also to get some really nice learning done as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Freddie, for that introduction there. Before we kind of move on to talk to Emma and Ben about their experiences, I know one thing that we were chatting about the other day was around visas. And I know you get asked a lot of questions around visas and what the process looks like. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that works and how you support students and grads when they're coming to that stage of their journey with you?
Yeah. So I think for me, the visa was one of the most intimidating parts of looking at working abroad in a post-Brexit world. I was kind of
Mm,
terrified of going to the visa center and all of this. So I think to start off with, just like an important sort of distinction to make is that you are able actually to work and live in Switzerland for CERN visa free. So if you got the offer from CERN and you decided you wanted to live in Geneva, you don't need to go through the French visa process. So this is purely speaking about if you want to live in France.
great.
A lot of people do sort of make that decision to live in France, myself included. To be fully transparent, it's to do with living costs. Geneva is
Mhm.
quite an expensive city. But in this case, the CERN visa team really will support you. So as soon as you get in touch with them to let them know that you're going to be living in France, they'll send you sort of a step-by-step guide of, first of all, what visa you need, and then how to apply for it. And then you have to go and make that appointment yourself. I think there's 3 or 4 centers across the UK. So one in London, and a couple more sort of up north. I think maybe one in Scotland as well.
Mhm.
Once you have that appointment set up, CERN will send what they call a note verbal. Excuse my poor French accent. But this is sent to the consulate and it basically acts as a bit of a green light to your visa process. So it kind of streamlines things. You don't have to pay the admin fees for your visa due to that letter.
Mhm.
We typically give people a maximum time frame, so of 3 months if you were to be successful in your application. We aim for 3 months between then and your start date as a minimum, just to make sure that your visa all goes through smoothly. But in most
Mhm.
cases, it's much quicker.
Amazing. And I think one of the things that is always good to get across is that CERN hires so many students that have to go through this process. So you really are experts at kind of making it a smooth process, making it as easy as possible. So really, students and graduates watching this, really don't worry about that. It's fine and it will all be taken care of. Um, Thank you very much, Freddie. So we are going to be coming back to you towards the end of the webinar to run through the recruitment process. But just kind of touching on the relocation point, we do have a blog on the CERN Gradcracker Company Hub all about relocating that covers a lot of information around that and kind of places to live and that sort of support if you need kind of any more information. But now we are going to go meet the rest of our panel from CERN. So we're joined by graduate Emma and technical student Ben, who both found their roles and applied by using Gradcracker. So over to you, Jess.
Perfect. Thank you, Sophie, and thank you, Freddie, for that fantastic introduction. Emma, I'm going to come to you first, if that is okay.
Yeah.
So it's the usual kind of introduction questions. So where did you go to university? What did you study? And why did you decide to apply to CERN?
Hello, my name's Emma. So I studied at Queen's University Belfast and I studied a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. I joined CERN in March 2023, so I'm coming up to my 3 years here as a graduate.
Yeah.
And I joined CERN because it really is like the mecca of engineering. Like it's just a phenomenal place. I learned about it in high school and I've always been really excited by the opportunities it could lead.
Emma, so what does it feel like now then to feel as though at an early stage in your career already you've hit such a massive goal and you've achieved it and you're there, you've been there for 3 years. What was it really like? I bet it feels like a bit, are you proud of yourself?
Oh, I'm thrilled. Like
Oh,
it's been
yeah.
brilliant. I don't think that there's been a bad day that I've come to work. There's been challenges in work, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. But that's normal. But I think it really when you're studying at like 2 a.m. for a thermodynamics exam for the next day and you're like, this is all worth it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And did you pass it?
Well, I'm here.
Yeah. There you are. Emma, we're going to come back to you in a lot more detail because you've been doing some amazing things over the last 3 years, and I can't wait to find out more. But yeah, we're going to come to Ben next. Ben, how are you doing? How are you feeling? You all right?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks. Yeah.
Good, 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 good. So similar kind of questions. If you could, where you went to university, what did you study, and yeah, why CERN for you?
Yeah. So I went to the University of Lincoln,
Yeah,
uh, which to a lot of people might seem surprising, but it's honestly one of the best ways I could have possibly studied it. It's so brilliant when I was there.
yeah,
I studied computer science,
yeah.
and they let us do a lot of really hands-on stuff. And
Hmm.
obviously, that led to me getting my current role being a technical student working with the magnets and superconducting team that test on the magnets at SM18.
Yeah.
And what that means is that I just work on the software that they use for testing, as well as the database that is the back end for that software.
So you're out on placement, Ben,
Yes, yeah.
and
Which is
how long's your placement?
so just a year, same
Just a
as
year long.
most
You
people.
started when?
So I started in September.
September, and you'll finish in August, and then you'll be back at uni for your final year in
Yeah.
September. Fantastic. And how's the experience been so far? Like I said, we're going to go into a lot more detail, but tell us a little bit about your role and what you've been up to so far.
Yeah, I've just been given a
Living
lot
the
of
dream.
tasks by my, yeah, pretty much. I get to live in Switzerland. I
Yeah.
get tasks set to me at the beginning of the a month, or if I run out of tasks that I've done, and I just sort of work down that list and fix all sorts of software bugs, as well as a lot of people on my team might come to me and say, "Hey, look, there's an issue with this," or "I don't have the data for this. Can you help me out?" And I can, tap into the back end or the front end and sort it out, help them find data that they might have lost, or also, just fix a problem that might exist on the current testing software.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel like you've learned a lot already in terms of the
Oh yeah, definitely.
skills that you've learned? Yeah. Do you feel like your team's been supportive and you've got a good team that you're working with?
Oh yeah. Despite the fact that I'm the only software engineer on my team,
Oh,
obviously
really?
because a lot of my team, yeah, because a lot of my team are engineers that have been there for a long time. They
Yeah.
also know what they're talking about, and they know enough of what I'm doing to sort of help me, guide me, as well
Yeah.
as the many people that I've met that are doing similar jobs to me in different departments that can also help me with more technical issues.
Yeah. So is that cross-discipline stuff as well that you'll be learning?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which is
There's a
really, really
lot.
good. Perfect. Then I'm going to come back to you a little bit later on to find out more detail. But Emma, you've got lots to talk to us and tell us about in terms of what you've been doing over the last 3 years. So, could you tell us a bit about the projects that you've been working on so far? So you've been working on the LHC High Lumi upgrade.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. We like to call it
Yeah,
HLLHC because if you
for
can.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us all about that and what you've been up to.
So the high luminosity upgrade of the LHC is basically going to make the big accelerator more powerful, so we can get more experimental data by
Mhm.
increasing the amount of collisions in the experimental areas,
Right.
specifically in the Atlas experiment and the CMS experiment. And with this upgrade, it's been working the last like 10, 15 years and designing new magnets, new equipment systems, like upgrading the tunnel system itself, like with civil engineering. And it's just been a whole massive project where there's been so many different opportunities and multidisciplinaries that I've worked towards.
Hmm.
I work in the beam instrumentation department, and so my project is working on instruments that'll pick up the data just before the beams hit the experimental caverns. And so I joined at the stage of the like final design just before the start of like all the in-house manufacturing. And so my main role was just bringing from the drawings it to real life, which has been really cool to see over the past 3 years. So everything's been built in-house in CERN for my project. And this is including like machining,
Yeah.
welding, pressure testing, like ultra high vacuum system cleaning, and like lots of different like material testing, ultra thin coatings for like improved performance. So there's
And do
been
you do
a
all that testing on site, Emma, or do you get to travel to different places to do these testing, or is it all
It's all on site.
on site?
So with CERN, there's like different sites like across France and Switzerland. So not everything is just in one big workshop. But
Mhm.
fortunately, we've got quite a bit of space. So there's been a lot. It was a challenge to learn to drive on the other side of the road, but I
Yes,
managed.
of course. Oh,
Um,
scary.
but
Is
yeah,
that an advantage being able to drive, would you say?
yes, for
Oh,
sure.
is the transport good whilst you're there?
For between sites,
Yeah,
during work, because like not only will you have to transport yourself, but you might have to transport like different materials.
of course.
And like there's different meeting locations that you would have to go in like different experimental areas.
Yeah.
So, for a practical role, for sure, it is quite beneficial to be able to drive.
Okay, that's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. Um,
So yeah, in terms of the upgrade itself, so it's gonna happen this year.
yeah,
But it's going to take quite a while, isn't it, to for it to kind of get
yeah.
once it's ready.
So we call the upgrade a long shutdown. So this is the third one that they'll actually will be going towards, and it starts in July this year. And it's hoped hopefully going to be finished by 2030,
Yeah.
before we start the fourth run of the LHC.
And Emma, we're going to talk a bit about your experiences, and again, you've been lucky that you've been able to extend your time here at CERN. But what does it feel like to be part of something that maybe you're not going to see, or maybe we might be there, but to see the end of a project, how does that feel for you?
It feels like it feels really, really like a great sense of accomplishment
Yeah.
because I am working towards something and I see the procedures,
Mm.
and I can see it like physically in my hand, and
Mm.
then I know that this isn't going to be touched until 2030. So I've seen it from the computer screen on the paper, and then I
Yeah.
see it physically, and then I put it in a box, and I'm like, this will work.
How amazing to say that you were part of this. Imagine if it
So
does find out the next
yeah,
big answer
and
to one of the questions and you were involved in it.
I mean, yeah,
You
it's
never
quite
know.
cool. It's a big team. It's not a one-man team.
No, no, definitely. But your
Yeah,
name was there. Your name's down. You
my
were
name's
there.
on the
You were
drawing.
involved.
Yeah, yeah.
So Emma, just explain. So your background then, similar to Freddie's. So are you completely getting rid of what you've got behind you? Obviously, we know that's a fake background, but is it the internals that you'll be replacing, or is it a whole new thing that you'll be building?
Um, so for like some of the magnet systems,
Hmm.
this like whole thing will be replaced.
Will it? Mhm.
So because we need like better cryogenic cooling, we need
Yeah.
more like intense like electronics, we need better like mechanical structures, just to help everything in place. So there's a lot of logistics in how we bring it downstairs, as we like to say,
Okay.
because it will be going 100 meters underground. But
Wow.
this is like all part of the fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And Emma, sorry to jump in there, Jess. What's the goal? So once we've done the upgrades, what are you hoping to be able to achieve at CERN once the High Lumi upgrade has completed? Is there a particular particle that you're looking for that you're doing all this to make possible, or is it just to see what you can find out? I know that's real layman's terms, but do you know what I'm asking?
I think it's to develop more than what we've with the LHC we've got our base knowledge that we have now, and now we just want to learn more. And so
Mm.
by doing this upgrade, we increase the probability of like being able to develop further into what we know, or like maybe discover something new as well.
Mhm.
Which is why so like it's called high luminosity because the intensity of the beam is called luminosity. So what we want is a
Okay.
higher luminosity. We're very creative with our naming.
So the attention that then you can smash these particles together harder,
Yeah, faster and get more
faster.
and more data, and yeah, and hopefully see a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds amazing. Right, Emma, also, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the placement that you went on. So, a bit like Ben, your placement actually wasn't at CERN, but
Yeah.
something that we encourage here at Gradcracker is students to get as much work experience whilst at university as possible, and why it's so beneficial. So, just to come to you, Emma, on that. So, you did undertake a placement.
Yeah.
How would you say that kind of helped you on your career journey to being successful at CERN?
So my placement was completely different from the industry I'm in right now. It was a pharmaceutical engineering placement,
Yeah.
so chalk and cheese. But what it was really, really beneficial was I really got to meet and work in like a professional setting for the first time.
Yeah.
Um, with engineering, you have a lot of experience working in like teams and doing group projects. And so that really developed those interpersonal skills because you're not just doing the same, um, you're not meeting with people who have been in the same classroom as you for the past like 3 years. So to
Yeah.
be able to develop like your team working skills and build up your transferable skills, because it's also really good for your problem solving,
Mhm.
to real life problems, that I think has been really beneficial from my placement year.
And I think this is the thing, and this is one of the reasons why we wanted to bring it up, because I think doing a placement is really great to get that knowledge as well, to think, actually, I've experienced that industry. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was a great experience, but actually now I know that I'm really interested in this and I can apply that
Yeah,
to something else.
yeah.
Would you say that did help you with the confidence as well when it came to putting an application together? Is that, and maybe bring you in here, Freddie, as well? Is that something that you look for particularly, or not really? in an application?
Um, I
Someone
think
having done work experience.
Yeah, I think we're open to quite a wide range of industries. We're always sort of more focused on the skills than
Yeah.
the context of where they come from. Of course, there are some places that can be really impressive if they've worked somewhere super similar to CERN, then of course
Yeah.
that's an advantage. But for the most part, yeah, we will hire the right skill set from any industry.
Yeah, perfect. So it's okay if you don't have it. But yeah, and as long as you can apply your skill set and you've got examples of that, fantastic. Ben, I was going to ask you about your placement and
Yeah.
how you experience and how it's going on so far. Um, yeah, so what kind of attracted you to do your placement at CERN and why CERN for you?
Yeah, so for me personally, I just wanted to do a placement full stop. I wasn't
Yeah,
necessarily thinking, I want to go straight to CERN. In fact, I thought when I was applying for loads of stuff that CERN was a long shot.
yeah,
But while I was applying, a thought crossed my mind that even if you think something's a long shot, there is absolutely no harm in still applying. And
yeah.
obviously,
Well
it's
done.
paid off for myself because, if you get rejected, you get rejected. You can
Yeah,
always apply later. And I mean, if you've been rejected for that year, you were never going to go there anyway, I suppose.
uh-huh.
But, that slim chance or high chance, I suppose, it depends who's marking your CV and such.
Yeah,
It's so worth it to get somewhere. And I applied to so many places, and I was just so
yeah.
lucky to get this one.
Ben, I love your honesty, and that is what
Mm.
it is all about. Because there will be a lot of students listening now, thinking, should I apply to CERN? Am I confident enough? Will Freddie look at my application? But you've got to be in it to win it. Exactly. You've got to put yourself forward. You've
Of
got to put
course.
yourself in that situation. So that is so good that you said that, and the honesty as well of applying to multiple positions because that is unfortunately what the graduate and undergraduate kind of recruitment market looks like at the moment. So you need to put good quality applications out there. So tell us a bit more, Ben, about kind of your experience so far. So kind of projects maybe you've been involved in a little bit more detail, and how you kind of found the induction process as well.
Yeah, so for myself, there's not many projects, so to speak. Like I know a lot of other people are working on very specific projects.
Yeah,
Obviously, my team works on the testing for the magnets and superconductor magnets,
yeah.
and so I pick up a little bit of that. But for me, it's just that I get the at the moment is the same software, and I add new changes that my supervisor or other people in my team think we might need,
Hmm.
or I mean, the bulk of my job, because it's the most difficult part, is trying to find out when there's a big bug, what's gone wrong, and how to fix it.
Mm.
And it's that. I mean, to be honest, it's what I went to university for, and I personally really enjoy it. So it's quite
It
nice. It's
sounds
like
like you got quite a lot of responsibility on your shoulder.
it certainly feels it when they hand you the keys to a lot of different things, because obviously I'm
Yeah.
working on the back end and the front end of this massive
Mm.
testing software.
Hmm.
But
Do you
We
feel?
were
once you've
talking,
Sorry,
sorry.
go on, sir.
oh no, sorry, go on.
It was when we were talking the other day, you were kind of explaining to us, weren't you, that with all this data they're gathering from these superconducting magnets and magnets in the experiment, that's what they're logging in your system, isn't it? It's really crucial data to kind of the running of these experiments. And then you're there sorting it all out in the back end if there's an issue. And it sounds like, amazing amount of kind of responsibility and trust that you've got very, very early on in your experience.
Yeah, there is definitely a lot of trust because as I said, I've got the keys to a lot of very important parts of their stack, what they're working with. But after the first few weeks, you kind of realize that it's not too much to worry about. Obviously, you still got to be careful when you're
Yeah.
working with some of the more in use stuff.
Yeah.
But the resources that CERN has in general to give me the ability to test in as close to the normal software as I can. So I have the normal software that I make changes to, and I have a testing version which I can I work on and then show my supervisor and show other staff members and say, is this right? Is there anything else that's wrong? And that's super useful. Test database as well. Just the ability
Mhm.
to have all that is nice.
Ben, a little bit of an off-piece question, hope you don't mind. But again, for the students that are listening, doing what you're doing, is there anything that you wish you knew beforehand, or is there anything like a skill maybe a student could practice more, or maybe a particular coding language that you use, that maybe a student could brush upon maybe before starting at CERN, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, as far as specific languages, there's obviously all the computer science students will know that there's a lot in common and there's a lot that's different between them. And the languages that you already enjoy and that you want to work with, you're kind of already working with a lot already, whether that's at uni or in your own projects. And I think that is the most important thing, is your own projects.
Okay.
Being able to turn to the interviewer or put it on your CV and say, I've done this, that, or the other in terms of projects.
Yeah.
Whether that is personal projects or university projects, you can also use that. So I got very lucky myself in that before coming to CERN, my university gave me the opportunity to work with a robot
Okay.
and effectively turn it into like a robot waiter. And it was a group
Okay.
project, and I did some small parts of various things, but just to be able to say I'd done that and use it, it's,
Yeah.
I feel
Creating
like
that almost portfolio of work almost. So it goes
yeah,
back to that point then, doesn't it? If you haven't got any kind of work experience out in industry, well, what else have you been doing in your degree subject? Whether it be anything extracurricular or like I say within modules, is always amazing stuff to mention. So yeah, think about your portfolios, think about GitHubs and all that kind of stuff. And if you can evidence it, make sure you're showing off about it. Induction, not introduction, sorry, Ben. Your induction sessions. Tell us a little bit about that and what would a student go through when they first join?
yeah. So when I first joined, I got a ton of emails saying, "Oh, this is your first week. You're going to meet with everybody that's joining in the week as well." And then throughout the first week, 2 weeks, the first couple months, really, you're in loads of welcome events. And you see them on your calendar in the first couple of days, and you think, well, I've done like 2 welcome events. Why do I need to do like 5 or 6? But being able to take that time during work to go meet everybody that's starting at the same time as you, that might be doing very similar things to you, is so useful. And it's for me, it was instrumental in making some of the friends that I have now, as well
Mm.
as meeting the people that I can share a flat with now, which is very nice as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Emma, going to bring you in here. How have you found that? Again, making friends, relocating to another country, socializing, balancing all the amazing things that you're doing in your job and having a social life. How do you do that?
Well, like CERN makes it very easy because they're really supportive and like helping you move over. There's a hotel that you can stay on site whilst you look for accommodation for your
Mhm.
first like couple of months. And like with all the onboarding, you're really supported. As well as that, like you're put through French lessons to help you really integrate
Oh,
into
yeah.
yeah, which has been very helpful. But then there's also lots of different like clubs that you can become a part of. So when I joined the ski club because it's such living in Geneva, it's such an accessible sport now. Um,
Yeah.
just to do it at the weekends, and they like take you on the lessons, they organize all the buses, but there's like sailing clubs to do on the lake. You can go climbing in the mountains, there's hiking clubs and everything. So they make it very easy to make it
Yeah.
hard to leave.
Yeah.
So
So this is what I want to talk about. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your experience then, because the Origin program, it's initially kind of 2 years, isn't
yeah.
it? And then you do get the option to extend, which you were lucky enough to get that for you. So yeah, tell us a bit how that works normally, and then tell us a bit how that's worked for you and how lucky you've been because how amazing you are.
Yeah. So, coming up to your last 6 months, in your 2 year contract, they'll put forward and be like, if your project needs, would you like to stay? And that extension can be up to a year. So I was very fortunate and got the full year of extension, and I'm now coming up to my final few weeks, very
Mm.
sadly.
Yeah.
But working here is like really, really opened up the opportunity for post CERN. So like Freddie said, it makes it a lot easier to be able to look into staff opportunities to be able to stay. Because I've been able to learn so much about different multidisciplinary environments, it's also given me a lot more options into maybe looking into doing my master's or just in different industries around the area and like within the field that CERN's in, so different particle accelerators or medical applications for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really developed my skill set and my CV to be able to look further.
Yeah, definitely. So that 6 month period before then, are you
Mm.
kind of advised and encouraged, or is it kind of really just up to you if you want to make that decision to apply and stay longer, or would a team kind of come to you and say, look, we've got this project, we want you to come in on it?
So I expressed my interest,
Oh,
but
did you?
my team also like expressed interest in keeping me. So it was kind of a two-way system.
Yeah.
So my supervisor like sat me down and was just like, this is what we can offer with the year extension and everything. Like this is what you would expect. Like because also with an extra year you get like extra responsibilities and extra
Mm.
opportunities to go to like different conferences or different workshops to upgrade your skills. So it was really a fantastic opportunity that yeah, I was
Yeah.
very fortunate to have.
Yeah. And also it's good that you feel supported as well. I remember you saying that in your prep session that we had
Yeah,
before the webinar today, that you've been exposed to quite a lot of stuff, haven't you? You know, again, those courses, you know, networking groups and stuff like
yeah.
that. Dare I ask, Emma, and again, sorry to come across or sounding negative, but what does life look like for you after CERN then? Have you got a bit of a plan of maybe what your next 6 months or 12 months would look like? Do you know that this is
Um,
an area that you want to stay in?
So, well, yeah, no, I'm very, very like firm in that this is where I want to
Yeah.
stay. But for what actually happens is a bit very open doors. And I'm
Mm.
very open for it, but it's really helped me focus on where I'm going to afterwards. So, and I've been very well supported from my team and my supervisor specifically in helping like progress,
Yeah.
for my future. So,
And do you know what? That's great, isn't it? Because now you've even got a bigger goal. You know exactly what you want to do, where you want to do it, and you know you've got the taste for it now, and you've achieved so much already that, yeah. Watch this
yeah.
space. Looking forward to see what happens in the next few years, Emma, with you. Freddie, I'm going to come to you because you've actually only been at CERN now for a year, haven't you? So it's kind of still a kind of new experience for you. So tell us as well a bit about how you've found working at CERN and kind of the relocating, you've mentioned earlier about living in France and all that kind of stuff. So tell us a bit about how it's been for you.
Yeah, so it's been massively different. I came from the world of London recruitment, so
Yeah.
to move to CERN is a pretty huge difference.
Mm,
But yeah, ultimately very supported, particularly in the first few months when I first came here and this sort of homesickness period and stuff. They were, yeah, very comfortable, sort of letting me return home sometimes. I could work remotely when I needed to from the UK.
hmm.
Moving forward from there, it's been great. I do need to keep working on my French and get better, but CERN offer a lot of these courses for you, and you also will hear French in the corridors and all of this sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to sort of get up to speed with the local culture when you're surrounded by it all the time.
Yeah.
So that's great. As Emma mentioned, driving on the wrong side of the road feels very weird, very strange. But yeah, no, ultimately it's been great so far for me. It's been a much sort of wider ranging job than I've ever experienced in the recruitment space. You know, I get to do all of my sort of typical IT recruitment jobs, but I'm also going across to Europe to promote
Yeah.
CERN and go to these career events, which is yeah something that was
Amazing.
an opportunity I didn't think was possible before CERN. So it's lovely.
Yeah, and Freddie, if you don't mind me asking, I hope I'm not prying or being too personal, but why CERN for you? You know, again, to come out the London world, the hustle and bustle there, to think, right, I'm going to completely change. What attracted you to think, right, I'm going to do that about CERN?
Yeah. So for me, I was working in London before at Microsoft. I'd always sort of set myself a goal before I was 25. I wanted to work abroad.
Okay.
And then lo and behold, I actually got a message from one of the recruiters in my team now, from CERN, basically sort of advertising what they have going on and that they were hiring for recruiters. And
Yeah.
that just sounded very impressive. I think when they have to put an asterisk at the end of the message saying this is not a spam or fake, it's like, okay, this sounds
This is
impressive.
real.
Yeah, so yeah, I got the message and sort of yeah, tried to learn as much as I could about CERN. It just sounded great. And then as soon as I started to look into the local area here as well, it was a no-brainer really. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was it for me. It was a lucky chance, but
Well done. And
That's
again, it's
amazing.
paid off.
yeah.
Like what Ben said, you've got to be in it to win it, kind of thing. You've got to put yourself out there and do it, and it's worked for all of you. So well done. I had a question from Emily at Cardiff, but I do kind of feel like you've answered it. But if you want to add anything to this, please do. She asked, "What has been a highlight of your time at CERN, and how do you think working at CERN will help the rest of your career?"
Um, I think one of the highlights I've worked at CERN is something I never really thought possible for being like so early on in my career is that I was given a lot of responsibility and like supervised and well supported, but like I was told this is your project, which has been really, really fun. And so there was like a really critical path point of my project where I had to design this completely new custom tooling and then just seeing it from the screen to the workshop to then like in person, like building it up. It's really maybe show how much I love like the dynamic process of my job of
Yeah.
like not always just sitting at the computer, but also like being in the workshop and being able to like physically see the stuff that at the end of the
Yeah.
day you're like being able to create. So that was like I remember, and every time I do see this tooling, I just get a sense of like pride because I'm just like that came from my brain.
That's
Um
incredible.
Love
You
it.
must be so
so
proud of yourself.
yeah.
I'm proud of you. I feel like a proud parent. I'm like, that's so good. It is. It's just so amazing. Like I said, just so early on in your career to be able to achieve everything that you're achieving, having the responsibility, and just saying you've been involved in it. It's
Yeah,
so
and
exciting
like
for you.
the people that you get to meet as well, it's just absolutely incredible because, like Freddie said, it's experts in your field, but it's such a welcoming, encouraging environment to ask questions, no matter how stupid you might feel. Like,
Mm,
it's never a stupid question. I think that's the best thing about this place.
yeah,
Mm.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love CERN. I always get excited about doing these webinars, and I always say to myself, I just love Zen. I love everything you do. I think it's great. But Sophie, we're going to hand back to you because we're going to find out more from you and Freddie on how we can apply. We can all apply.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Jess. And thank you, Emma and Freddie and Ben, for giving us an overview about what you've been up to, what life is like. I think it always really brings it to life having these
Yeah.
sessions and really talk about what it's actually like working there. And I think, Emma, everything you said, for mechanical engineers watching this, thinking, okay, I could be working on these incredible experiments, but not only be involved in CERN itself, but have that responsibility of, thinking of something to putting it on the screen to actually seeing it is probably just a mechanical engineer's dream, right?
It's
So,
fantastic.
so I think it's fantastic to hear these examples and really bring them to kind of the forefront. But we are going to talk about how we get the job at CERN. And Freddie, I am going to come back to you now. So we've mentioned you've got lots and lots of roles currently live on your hub on Gradcracker. Students and grads, click on the job description to apply. What happens next?
Yeah, perfect. So I guess we'll go back a step from even clicking on the ad. So
Okay.
what I spoke about earlier, we have 6 main domains for the technical studentships.
Yep.
So what I would recommend there is to look obviously through there and see what's interesting and what's also relevant for your studies or for your work experience. And like I said earlier, to repeat myself, don't be afraid to apply multiple times to multiple different positions. Most cases, your application will be reviewed by 2 or 3 different people. So there's no
Yeah.
judgment, no shame at all in that. So yeah, next you can obviously then click on the opportunity and make sure you send your application through the Gradcracker Hub, and you need to fill out the online form. So within this, there will be a screening question set which comes up after you submit your CV. Within this, it's going to ask you sort of basic questions of things like nationality, what you've studied, how many years of experience, stuff like that. First sort of notes there is that obviously you need to be mindful of the eligibility criteria. So if it's asking you, if it's saying there's a maximum level of experience for a certain position, make sure that you don't tick a box that accidentally automatically kicks you out of that pool. In terms of what documents you're going to need to get ready, so I'll compare first of all the technical studentship and the summer studentship. So for the technical students, you're going to need obviously your CV. And that's actually it for the technical studentship. So there are options to add your transcript, a diploma, recommendation letter, and cover letter. But for technical students and admin students, it's just the CV required for now. But obviously, if you do have a real interest in a certain area and there's something that you'd really like to sort of move on with, is that certain module or project, feel free to mention projects that you've taken on at university, or if there's parts of your transcript where you did really great in a certain module, there's no shame in adding that into your application. For the summer students, this is obviously the one that closes in 4 days, so on the 26th of January. Here we need a CV, a transcript, and one recommendation letter, and that's all that you need to prepare. So you've got a couple more days to get those recommendation letters. So start spamming your supervisors with emails as soon as possible. But yeah, so within this, as I say, it's super important just to make sure you get the screening questions correct and just nice and accurate details on there, as well as filling out the education and experience fields on the application links too, just to make sure that sort of everything is received well and there's no sort of miscommunications or misunderstandings. So great. So you've then applied, you submitted a great application, and you've got nice recommendation letters, a good transcript. So what next? You might be invited to an asynchronous video interview or a Zoom interview. So asynchronous video is expected to be quite awkward. My top tip here is really just to not use generative AI. So this will be basically a prompt comes in front of you on the screen, and then you're sort of vlogging to an audience of one, basically. So it's just an answer to the supervisor for them to review. As I say, we expect it to be a little bit awkward. It's meant to simulate an interview. It's just that we simply wouldn't have enough time to interview all the candidates. They're quite simple questions. So it's sort of an introduction to yourself. We want to hear about your motivations, sometimes a little bit about the work environment or projects that you're particularly proud of. As I say, we know it's stressful and we know it's nerve-wracking, and most people have had to do it, so there's no shame. With the Zoom interview, this will be likely with your future supervisor, and this is usually the final step in the student recruiting process. So it might be a little bit more technical. They'll explain a bit more about their project, a bit more about their team, and they just want to understand how relevant you are and how much of a fit it would be. So as always, really, with CERN, the best tip I can give is just to be authentic and to be yourself. If there's truly a great match there, they'll see it, and I'm sure it will come across in that conversation. In terms of the selection moments, so when this sort of happens and sort of our process and timelines for this, as I mentioned, for technical students, admin students, and doc students, it's 3 times per year. For graduates, you'll typically hear a selection 4 weeks to 5 weeks after the application deadline. And for summer students, you'll hear in April to May for the results of your application.
Amazing. That's perfect. I was going to ask you that question, Freddie, so I'm glad you kind of mentioned it. Because as we were talking about earlier, especially with the grad roles, because they're advertised sort of throughout the year, it's great to hear that that's quite a short window from, that final deadline to finding out if you've been successful. And yeah, the technical studentship's 3 times a year. And then summer student in April, May time. So that's fantastic. So we're going to come now to you, Emma, just to talk a little bit about your experiences. So it's always great to bring people back in who have actually been through this process and obviously been successful. So I know we're going back a few years now, Emma, but when you started thinking about applying to CERN and putting together your kind of initial application, how did you do that? How did you prepare for it? What sort of things did you do to make sure that application was as good as it could be?
So I really looked at the job spec and what they were looking for from seeing it on Gradcracker. So I knew I wanted to go abroad, and then I saw CERN in the little segments there. So when I saw the application form, I saw what was relevant to me as a mechanical engineer, but I knew I didn't have any industry experience within like particle accelerators. And so I thought the best fit I could put forward is like all my transferable skills. So like team working, like problem solving, critical, analytical thinking, and like just really kind of had to show examples of that as well. So a lot of people say how to use the star for when you're using any of these. So you use like situation, like task, action, and results, just to kind of put forward and show that I was a good fit for the role.
Amazing. And I think that's really, really great advice, especially like you said, you didn't have relevant specific experience, but there's so many skills that you did have that would, appease what was in the job description, what CERN were looking for. And this is what you need to be thinking about, isn't it, when you're looking for those roles, is how can those skills fit in? And
Yeah.
it's something that Jess and I talk about, well, Jess a lot more than me, during
All the
university
time. So I'm so
presentations,
glad you
is
said that.
read the job description, read what not just the qualifications, but what these soft skills that employers are looking for, because that's what you can show them in the application. So thank you very much, Emma. Ben, we're going to shoot across to you because we're just talking about interviews and everything like that. And obviously you've been through this process really recently. How did you find the interview process and your kind of process of finding out you secured the role at CERN?
Yeah, so for me, I got an email, and I'd applied to so many places I'd actually kind of forgotten that I'd applied to CERN, and to get an email was just a huge shock in the first place.
Yeah.
I was at Spain doing a semester abroad at the time,
Okay.
so I was away from parents and everything, and I was like texting them, telling them, "Oh, I've got an interview," and they're like giving me tips and tricks and stuff. And then my roommate saying like, "Oh, I'll clear out." All my mates sort of just waiting in the corridor outside,
Oh,
and I was so nervous. I put on
Oh,
an entire suit, and to which my
love it.
parents, when I told them, said, even the trousers. You're in the interview from here up or something. That's quite peculiar. I was just so nervous, and once I actually started the interview and talking to my now supervisor, um, for me, I thought it was quite easy to sort of really get more into the flow of things. I sort of my nerves dropped immediately. I felt fine, and it was. I mean, I've heard different from others. Some people had some quite long interviews, multiple interviews, but I only had one very short one,
Mhm.
where I mentioned, as I said, my projects, the fact that I'd been living abroad, studying in Spain for a semester, um, personal projects, things like that, my
Mhm.
background and everything. Because you're not just telling them stuff that's directly relevant to computer science. I'm also telling them what I did in university, like
Mhm.
being in UOTC or something, helping me be part of a team, just
Yeah.
everything that I can to show that I was a good fit, and
Mhm.
clearly they liked it.
That's brilliant. Yeah. And again, Ben, this is exactly what we want to be getting across is that yes, you're going to be talking about your technical skills, but the interviews to find out about who you are as a person as well, the sort of things that you're interested in. And I loved the fact that you said that you were nervous because I know so many people, everyone's going to be nervous. Being nervous is not a bad thing. Being nervous shows that you care and that you want to do well. And like you said, again, as soon as you started the interview, those nerves go away because they don't want you to be put on edge. That's not what the interview process is designed to do. It's designed to find out about you. So that was really, really great to hear your experience of that, Ben.
Mm.
Um, and Emma, coming back to you. So we're gonna just kind of do hints and tips, I guess. So is there anything that you want to pass on to our audience about how to be successful in the application interview process? I know you gave us some really great insights just before, but if there's anything else that you wanted to add to that.
Um, I would say have a good base knowledge on like CERN and like some of the different experiments, any of the upgrades that are happening, especially because there's so much happening for the future, would be really
Mhm.
good. And to just really show everyone knows that you're a graduate or like a student and you're going into a student or graduate role, so you're not expected to be a world leading expert. But what
Mhm.
is the most encouraging thing is that it's such an environment to learn. So I think to show this is like the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you very much, Emma. And our final question of the webinar and a student question from Jacob at the University of Bath. So this is coming to you, Freddie. He says, what makes a student's application stand out to you for a technical studentship?
Okay, yeah, good question. So I think really to start off with, we're understanding that we're hiring students, right? So we're not
Yeah.
expecting to see that you've got 10 years of experience and you've been working since you were 5 years old. Like that's not what we're looking for. So I mean, the best thing that you can do is just highlight anything that feels relevant. So projects, skills, whether that's a hard skill or actually, as you were saying earlier, soft skills, anything that you've acquired from your studies that sort of feels like this makes me a good fit for this position. So
Yeah.
that might be certain modules. It could be that you've taken a course in a certain place, or that you a social secretary at your society. It could be
Yeah.
anything that sort of makes you feel like you stand out in something that's more than just having completed all of your modules. I think also then just as I go on to that, extracurriculars in general. So it might be volunteering, it might be internships. As I say, we're not looking for you to have been a CEO, but an interesting internship which shows that not only do you have motivation, but you have sort of the wish, the like passion for what you're looking to
Yeah.
do, and you've sort of done some background work to get yourself ready for that. And I think finally would be the motivation statement. So I touched on it earlier with sort of the use of generative AI. We really do like authenticity. I think anyone can tell us how impressed they are by the LHC, but not anyone could tell us why they're super relevant for a role in cryogenics or why they
Yeah.
have a passion for vacuum technologies. So I think telling us a bit of your story and getting to understand why it is that you're interested in applying for what you're applying for is super relevant. And I think it has a much bigger impact than just telling us why you love CERN. But
Yeah.
with that being said, still tell us that you love CERN. It's everyone
Yeah.
loves flattery. So there's no problem with that as well. But yeah, I think those would be my top tips.
Amazing. That's really, really great. I imagine everybody writes that in their CV and covering letter. It's exactly what I would do because it's such an impressive place and there's so much to talk about. But I think there'll be so many examples, like you said, Freddie, of students who have, at work when they're doing projects at university, essays, where technologies that they can reference back as well, whether it's hands-on experience or whether it is through internships or just through university work, there's so much they can use there for those applications, isn't there?
Exactly.
So thank you so much to our amazing panel from CERN. It's been so great hearing about all of your experiences, and I'm sure everyone today who's been watching will be rushing off to prepare their applications. So the recording of this webinar will be available for everyone to watch in full tomorrow on the CERN Gradcracker Company Hub. We'll also then break this up into bite-sized highlights covering some of the key topics that we've discussed today and some of the key guidance that you guys have given us. And remember, our employers absolutely love it when you tell them that you've watched their webinar, as they know that means you'll already have a really good understanding of their organisation and it shows you have a real interest in working for them. So another really great thing to put in those applications for Freddie to read. So make sure you go and get your applications in for CERN and let them know that you are here. I will be joining Carla next Thursday at 2 p.m. for our webinar with Experience, so make sure you register for that one too. But once again, thank you so much to CERN for another wonderful webinar today. And yeah, we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you so much. Bye.